a special Sunday repeated on Wednesday program, and this is
the Mojo Hand, the winning boy's magic.
Marge, this ticket doesn't just give me a seat. It also gives me the right, no, the duty to make a complete ass of myself.
But as for me, I'm off to battle aliens on a faraway planet.
Hello, operator. Give me the number for 911.
Who sent you here? Can't talk, little man? Bet can't play none either.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kid?
Oh, bitch.
Kill my boss! Do I dare live out the American dream?
Overload. Pleasure overload.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Hey, good morning, wood chicks and patriots. That's you. That's me. We got stuff to talk about today. I'm telling you, you can't stay up late at night and think all this stuff up. Oh, boy, we've been hit by cyber attacks. U.S. federal agencies are reeling from them. I'm sure Network ABC, CBS, NBC, XYZ, and all the pluses won't talk about that crap because your information is at risk. You know, and it's funny when our fearless leader, the guy we know and love, Mr. Joe Biden, the president of the United States of the great America that we're trying to regain control of, hey, when he goes off script, he talks about stuff that's off in La La Land and out over the ocean. We'll talk about that. And locally in the state of Wisconsin here, we're going to talk about Dane County becoming a sanctuary city. Oh, hold your thoughts on that one. We have a couple of local pedophiles, some internationals that are getting news across the board. Yeah, and some of them you will not believe. Maybe you will. I don't have a clue. But, you know, some of these people who once they get to court, if they ever get to court because of their social ranking or lack thereof, they do crazy stuff in front of the judge and jury and the world because they don't care. And with that, we'll be right back right after this break. And welcome back. We have to pay bills, you know. That's the way it goes. Last show we talked about VPNs, virtual private networks that you may or may not use. A lot of you do. And how they've been found to be, shall we say, kind of like Swiss cheese. They're not really very safe. The information that they supposedly shelter the rest of the world from when you go online is vulnerable. Like everything else online, it's not a matter of if you get hacked. It's a matter of when you get hacked. And today, actually the other day, yesterday, U.S. agencies found out that they were grappling with a global cyber attack exploiting a flaw in the widely used MoveIt software. Figure who's writing this software? The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, is working closely with affected agencies to understand the impact of and expedite remediation efforts. I used to sell Trend Micro. We were a Trend Micro dealer back years ago. One of the best ever. And one of the reasons it was a really good antivirus software, VPN software, was because they hired people who came out of jail. You know, maybe the ones that got caught messing around. But nowadays in a high school, because you and I pay tax dollars to support this big IT structure, we think we're doing good for our kids, and we're really not. That's an advanced program thing. But the kids like to hack away, and they get it done. Anyway, the hacker's identity remains unconfirmed, although a Russian-speaking ransomware group is under suspicion. Oh, the Russians did it again. Couldn't be China because we're trying to rebuild relationships with them so they wouldn't be doing anything goofy like that. This cyber attack forms part of a larger hacking campaign over the last 2 weeks, not one, but two, that also has targeted state governments and prestigious institutions such as, is this prestigious or what? Johns Hopkins, the University of Georgia. You know, they're so far up my list of priority. I love them to death, but somehow they're just not on my prestige list. Highlighting the growing threat of ransomware attacks. That means they bug you, they take over your system and make you pay to get it back. I got to move this monitor over a little bit. There. Other notable victims of this international hacking spree included the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, British Airways. Guess we won't fly for very long. We'll just crash. Shell, oh, big oil, one of my favorite people. And state governments in Minnesota and Illinois. They're surrounding Lake Wish I Be Gone here in Wisconsin. You know, Minnesota has Lake Wobegon, where everything is cool. Lake Wish I Be Gone, everything's not so cool. And cybersecurity experts warn that the software vulnerability initially exploited by the Russian hackers may now be accessible to other criminal groups. That's called open source software. Once you have it, you can give it away. Progress, the U.S. company owning MoveIt software, has urged all users to update their software and follow issued security guidelines. Right there, coming off the AP. Oh, I tell you, this is, and I have to just expand on this just a smidge, only because of being security certified, software security certified. In the past, I don't do it anymore, but trust me, I got a wealth of knowledge. And when we talk about, especially the schools and the kiddies clickety-clacking away, during class time, when they're supposed to be learning history or geography, well, they don't teach geography anymore. Who knows where it is? You know, which leads us to another story. I got to come out since I went there. Yeah. Understanding the world, where it is, what it does, who are the players in the game. We're not, our educational system is so upside down, but I love it. I'm just saying that our kids are not necessarily getting what it is we got as kids when we were in school. The world has changed, and these stories reflect it. But why just down the road from here, one of the world champion texting people made, I don't know, was it 50 grand, something like that. Dad owns a restaurant bar right up the road, and he's got the big old check hanging up on the wall. And not once, but twice, this kid did his thing, texting in his pocket. One, I think the first time was with a flip phone. Remember those old flip phones, the old technology? While he was in class, wasn't supposed to be on the internet, but we, the people, taxpayers, bought the infrastructure to allow this kid to sit in class and not pay attention to the teacher. But flip, flop, blah, 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 clickety, clack, go out and win the national texting championship. Novel idea. Except by school protocol and the SOPs of school, you're not supposed to use it for personal use, are you? No, but it's just a suggestion. Rules are made to be just suggestions, speed limits, you know. But anyway, when our leaders, another AP story, you all heard this one. I'm just going to go briefly over it. Can you believe? I love him, you know, and it's not nice to make fun of people who may or may not be sick or in here. But when somebody goes off script and he's supposed to be the leader of the free world, the greatest nation in the world, the powerhouse, you know, you speak, so walk softly, carry a big stick kind of country. And when they go off script, that's off the teleprompter. They got two little paddles up there in front of the honcho or whomever. He was supposed to read. That's called a teleprompter. They got paddles up there, the big plastic things. You don't know what's on it. You can't see them, but I, as a speaker, can. He goes, throws it away, and decides he's going to blah, blah. Now he promises that he's going to build a railroad across the Indian Ocean. Just things that make you go, President Joe Biden promised to build a railroad across the world's third largest ocean just minutes after 4 environmental activist groups jointly endorsed his re-election campaign. Now, I'm just saying, Mr. Green Jeans, remember him? You give an endorsement to a person, thing, entity that says, oh, yeah, we like this thing or this guy. And we'll do what we can to keep you where you are. And making a comment like this, do you think there anything that we as America, in what my generation knows as America, wants in office to be renting the building that we built for them to stay in? Big representation. I watch a show, Glenn Beck, once in a while, and he was apparently over in Europe for a week or two or something like that, touring around, and he made a comment that when he came back, he had been taken to other world leaders' residences. Now, I'll bet they may be not a democracy republic, but our White House kind of looks like an apartment per him after seeing some of what these other people live in. Now, we're conservative. You know, how many square feet do you need? Especially talking like this. You know, perhaps something in the smaller size, maybe an 8x10 with padding on the walls. I don't know. I'm just saying, you're going to build a railroad across the Indian Ocean. God save the Queen. Yeah.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
I'm just saying. Biden addressed some of the beneficiaries of the $370 billion in subsidies for clean energy products. No wonder they want to keep him where he is. He's going to build a railroad, which is a coal-powered diesel fossil fuel thing. And I don't get this because if you're so green, it better be a solar train, not a fossil fuel train. But he's going to build it, and that's a good thing. Just before he started his speech, 4 major green groups, LCV, Action Fund, Next Gen PAC Fund, Natural Resources Defense Council Action Fund, wow, that's a big name, and the Sierra Club. Do you understand what the Sierra Club is all about? You think it's a good group? Perhaps you ought to look into what you think is good. Announced their support for his 2024 campaign, reported in Politico. This article comes out of Politico. The president zeroed in on their preeminent concern, the specter of anthropogenic climate change, stressing it was the only truly existential threat. Biden then proceeded to describe some of the ways his administration has worked to address the abstract threat. Abstract, that means it's not real definitive. I don't know. Midway through his speech, Biden admittedly went off script, quote unquote, with a promise spanning 6,200 miles. Whoa, 6,200 miles. That's job security there. I'll give you that. He's a union boy, and that's good. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. He said, quote, we have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble, end quote. You know, somewhere along the line, he has the ability to know and understand, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said what I just said. The Indian Ocean, which has a mean depth of minus 3,741 meters, not feet, meters, stretches from the southern tip of Africa all the way to Australia. Isn't that remarkable? The man's got a dream. His head is full of dreams and wishes, you know, and that's how America always has been. You dream big, you get big. But he's already in the White House, so you can't get much bigger than that. Oh, Lordy. Former Republican Jason Chaffetz tweeted, bold initiative, Mr. President. I couldn't have said it better myself. Blaze TV's Dave Rubin tweeted, that's really nice, Grandpa. Maybe you want to sit down for a few minutes. The DeSantis campaign shared a picture of a map charting the proposed railroad with the caption, ambitious. I wouldn't call that ambitious. Hell, we got citizens who are going to send a rocket ship to Mars. What's 6,400? What is it, 6,400 miles? What's that? You could do that in a heartbeat. You could do that sleepwalking. I think that's great. Rob Schmidt of Newsmax quip, F yeah. 8,000-mile ocean train, Biden 24. Hey, build back better. You're not building back anything. You're building better. That's good. Those whom the gods wish to destroy, they first make mad, wrote Senator Ted Cruz. That's a quote, Ted Cruz. I ain't saying it. Republican consultant Matt Whitlock noted, it'll be nice to finally have a direct route to Madagascar. Now, see, the glass is half empty or the glass is half full. Whatever. Oh, Lordy. I just got to let this one go. Somewhere along, where do I have him? There he is. Let me look at this one. Right there. There he is. This is the guy that's going to build the train tracks. I'm telling you. How can you not love this guy? Because he loves, what is it, chocolate chip ice cream or something like that? Chocolate ice cream? I don't remember. You know, and he is always trying to sniff out the good hair smells. I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh, Lordy. It takes my breath away. It really does. And you know who's next in line? when maybe a vacation is called for in 24? Her. This is your next in line. And once Trump's gone, we have regained our rightful place in the White House. Look out if you supported him and endorsed his actions, because we'll be coming for you next. You will feel the vengeance of a nation. No stone will be left unturned as we seek you out in every corner of this great nation. For it's you who have betrayed us. Kamala Harris, June 18th, 2020. I'm just saying, a little reminder, a gentle reminder of what it is that's next in line when and if there's an inspection in the middle of the Indian Ocean and our commander-in-chief doesn't make it home. You gotta watch out, but you love to death. You love these people. You voted them into office. You love them. Yep. And with that thought in mind, I got to play a little audio track. You'll love this.
Build Back Better. You've been hearing it a lot these days, mostly from people who get all their news from Facebook and believe everything it says. Well, here at Build Back Better Bank, we know you want the most from your money. That's why this week, if you open a new checking account, we'll give you a hard-boiled egg and a popsicle. That's right. How do we do it? Well, we're building back better. Need a tank of gas to get to your job? We have loans available for that too, at 3 different huge interest rates. Good grief, holy smokes, and WTF. Plus, check out our new Build Back Better home equity loan so you can afford groceries this week. Only 579% interest, even less if you recently died from murder hornets or monkeypox. Because at Build Back Better Bank, we understand. Build Back Better Bank, where delusional thoughts become reality every day.
Oh, you love it. You know, they're just around the corner. If you look really, you don't even have to look real hard because they're building these things all over the place. Even you can have a Build Back Better bank. Thank you, Jimmy. I love you to death. And with that, how much time we got? Oh, well, we got a couple minutes. Nah, I should take a commercial break. I'll be right back. Oh, welcome back, Wood Ticks and Patriots. Here we are. Before I went off, I got to tell you, if there's you got anything you want to tell me at the Just Jim Show, feel free to send us an email with your thoughts, comments. Maybe I'll take them into consideration. Maybe I won't. Whatever. I just thought if you have something really interesting, a little quip, local, national, regional, whatever, just send it in. You might get on the air. If you know the studio number, you're free to call in. Not that we have any calls. Excuse my cough. I'm still recovering from my surgeries. Anyway, that thought in mind, we're talking about going off script here. And, of course, we've now recovered fully, thanks to our great medical leadership in the country. But while we were off in our homes watching TV, do I have that yet? I don't know if I got this one here yet or not. No, I guess not. We'll go back. Anyway, the scientists were in their labs. Not that we have any of those in the country. God, where was that? Might be it right there. Yeah. Just to refresh your memory, these were from when just before the Ukrainian invasion. Here's a map of Ukraine and the biological labs that were in Ukraine. That's the old border, the size of the country. These are U.S. military labs. 2, 4, 6, 8 of them in Ukraine. And to refresh your memories, when Russia decided to move on in, they were very slow. And everybody goes, well, you would think that Russia would have had the power and the might to do whatever they wanted to do and just go in and roll over everything, you know? See how they're scattered throughout the country, and you want to invade that country, and you know they're there? This is not a secret. This isn't some made-up Facebook post. This is a real map. And if you're going to roll over and destroy everything, you got to be mighty careful when you cross one of those biomed labs. And you'll never hear Dr. Fujiyama admit that we had those labs there, but trust me, they were there. And I don't know, somewhere I have a list, because this was a show we did maybe a year or two ago. And, you know, good old Smoking Joe, he knew they were there. I got to admit, so did this guy. We'll talk about him. I have his dossier shortly coming up. But anyway, the scientists create synthetic human embryos, eliminating the need for sperm and eggs. Wait a minute. How many? There's 2 genders, and there's mating, and there's gestation, and then there's birth. Except if you're in a lab. Scientists at the University of Cambridge and the California Institute of Technology. Wait a minute. America has a Institute of Technology? Appear to have successfully accomplished what abortionists and libertines have only managed in a piecemeal fashion over recent decades. They have severed reproduction from fertilization. Coming in on the line, the AP line. Or is this I think it's an AP line. Oh, look. Whatever. I'm going to skip through this. Because this truly does fall hand in hand with Tom Fenton from Judicial Watch. Uncovered, it was maybe a year or so ago, that aborted fetal baby parts were being bought and sold, transported from the West Coast to, I think it's Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And nobody believed it. Jim, you're off in La La Land. No, not really. But here we go, and I will have to find out where in California. Excuse me. According to Quanta magazine, Cambridge professor Magdalena Zernicka-Getz and Jacob Hanna at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Rehovot, Israel, have worked in recent years to craft mouse embryo models from stem cells, then grow them in a nutrient-filled bottle, which is served as a kind of crude artificial uterus. And men can't get pregnant. Remember that? 2 genders? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe not. Their monster creation soon developed the basis of what would, quote, become a spinal column, along with the bulbous blob of the nascent head and even a primitive beating heart. You following what's going on here, swamp things? Rather than abandon rodents to retread Lou's monkey business, Getz and Hannah endeavored to tinker with the world's top primate. Oh, wait a minute. That's monkeys. Monkeypox. Hang on, because we're going to reflect back on another show I did about a year ago, if I can find it quick. There it is, right there. We're going to put this right here. Now, this, and just the sidelines, this picture right here is a picture of a monkey with syphilis. Supposedly somewhere between 80 and 100 miles totally away from civilization. I have another picture. I don't have it at the moment. And I don't know. Let me go up and look and see if this is it or not. No, it's not. But, excuse me. This came right around the monkeypox time when everybody was worried about getting monkeypox. Well, maybe you weren't worried about it. I don't know. But there was an investigation that said there were two monkeys in two different pods, or whatever they call them, families, that had contracted syphilis with supposedly no human contact. You go back in one of our old shows, I did the story, read the whole AP line. Nobody picked it up. And it was quite perplexing to the medical community, including Dr. Fujiyama, who was telling us where to go and what to do. He was. But that is absolutely part of this kind of institution that plays with the primates. And just said it right here. They're admitting that they're playing with the highest evolution primate. While they're meddling with mice, a multi-institutional team of researchers led by Chinese reproductive engineer. Wait a minute. Could we be back somewhere in the Wuhan lab? Zhen Lu at the State Key Laboratory in Shanghai reportedly generated synthetic embryos using monkey embryonic stem cells. Oh, but these guys over here never had any contact with humans, so they wouldn't have a resistance or an ability to pick up a human disease. Rather than abandon rodents to retread Lou's monkey business, Getz and Hannah endeavored to tinker with the world's top primate. I said that already. Getz described cultivating human embryos beyond the equivalent of 14 days of development for a natural embryo when the synthetic embryo, quote, reached the beginning of a developmental milestone known as gastrulation. Boy, there is so much connect the dots going on around the world that is not being reported. So that, it's, I'll tell you, you keep reading this stuff, you get a little negative attitude. And it's like, why aren't the mainstream media people picking up on this stuff? Why, I don't know. I do know, because it would cause, there's a cause and effect thing that would happen if they told all of this stuff to people on the 6 and 10 o'clock news. Getz called the dehumanized process and its monstrous result, quote, beautiful, adding, quote, our human model is the first three lineage human embryo model that specifies a minion and germ cells, precursor cells of egg and sperm. Which some of the younger, I got to say, some of the younger generation, they just hook up and do their thing and don't really care about procreating and raising a family. Oh, it's terrible to say. Oh, but somebody's got to say it. NPR reported that the creation of so-called embryoids, living entities made from human stem cells that are increasingly complex and comparable to human embryos, had, quote, added pressure to extend the rules so scientists could compare these new entities with naturally conceived embryos. Part A, Part B. Which one is real? At some point when you make it, it doesn't matter if it's quote unquote real by a natural process because you've created something that's an unnatural process, but it is, if it's in your hand or in your test tube, it's real. So this is a crock, and NPR takes our tax dollars and slimes around this stuff and reports, oh, this is a good thing. It's progressive. It's progression. It's good for America. No, it's good for humanity. I don't know about that. As they turn around and curse artificial intelligence. This isn't any different. This is artificial embryonic research, stem cell, and we're paying for it. You're paying for it. I'm going to tell you, it gets disheartening when you see stories like this. But it brings to mind who's leading the club. It's called wood ticks. Here they are. This is what they do to you. They blind you from the truth. You get that? Did you get that picture? That is what a wood tick looks like. That's what a wood tick looks like as it attacks and would kill this snake. And if they'll do that to a snake, what do you think they'd do to a human in all of their occupation of elections? I got to tell you, it's not very nice. Excuse me. I still am. I do beg off and ask for your indulgence. I'm recovering from some major surgery, and it's just taken me a long time. That's why I've been off the air so long. But hand in hand to this, and the wood ticks that are sitting in offices, local city, town boards, school boards across America. Here's one from northern Wisconsin, Dane County. And another quip story. Dane County is set to consider a resolution declaring sanctuary status for transgender and non-binary individuals, including children, minors, under the control and dutiful raising by parents. The resolution calls for state and legislative actions to stop medical treatments and surgeries from minors or block transgender people from school locker rooms, quote unquote, legal violence. If the state of Wisconsin passes a law that imposes criminal or civil punishments, fines, or professional sanctions on any person or organization that seeks, provides, receives, or helps someone to receive gender-affirming care, such as puberty blockers, hormones, or surgery, the Dane County Board of Supervisors urges the sheriff to make enforcement their lowest priority, the resolution says. This comes on the heels of WRN's investigative series in which we reported that more than 260 juveniles received puberty blockers or hormone therapy in recent years from two major Wisconsin hospitals, and up to 15 juveniles underwent breast surgeries every year. In most cases, mastectomies because of gender dysphoria. Interesting use of the English language, gender dysphoria. I don't know if in fleeting thoughts, each and every one of you has thought, well, yeah, I wonder what it would be like to be someone of the opposite sex. And now it's not just opposite sex. It's like 500,000 other options. I can't tell you. Yeah, I'm not you. One of those hospitals, UW Health, is located in Dane County. Well, it's over in Madison, right? Yet a growing body of research is leading European countries to toughen guidelines, even as many on the left in the United States often demand no dissent. And people who want to consider the science or criticize transgender treatments on juveniles are threatened with cancellation. Does a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old have the ability to know? And there would be an argument coming at me, I get it, that yes, an 8-year-old, 7-year-old would know what they're supposed to be. And we've had that discussion on this show. I can't tell you how many times. And I just beg to differ. I don't get where. Wait a minute. Where's my? Oh God. No, hang on. I gotta. All I can say is, what were you thinking? What is your thought train on this one? I don't know. I just don't know. Nope, that ain't it. I'm having technical difficulty today. Oh, Lordy. So Dane County Transgender Sanctuary Status Resolution. That's what they call it. Give it a big, long name and make it sound official. 2023 Resolution -074. Declaring Dane County a sanctuary for trans and non-binary individuals. What is it? I have trouble comprehending all these terms that get thrown out. What is a non-binary individual? Because to me, that's an oxymoron. Non-binary, you don't know what it is, but you're an individual. And how can you claim you're an individual if you're non-binary? You don't know what you are. What exactly is an individual then? Because you have no individualism. You're trying to be whatever the hell it is you want to be. Yeah.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit.
Absolutely.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
Yeah. The American Civil Liberties, ACLU, which, funny what they get involved in. It truly is. Think about all the things you would think the ACLU should be involved with, making commentary on, but they never show up. In the last few years, states have advanced a record number of bills that attack LGBTQ, XYZ, ABC rights, especially transgender youth. So far, in this year's legislative session, state lawmakers across the country have introduced more than 430 bills that restrict fundamentals like health care, education, and freedom of expression for LGBTQ plus XYZ ABC people, according to the analysis from an analysis at the American Civil Liberties Union. So they're spending their time and tax and voluntary contribution dollars in looking at this. I would think you'd be able to find some things that might be a little more important than this. Obviously, this is a special interest group, and they're waving that flag, at least one flag. So somebody at the ACLU decided they'd take a look at it. Most bills have advanced to committee, and nearly 24 have passed into law. That overall tally is up from last year, according to Human Rights Campaign, when 315 bills were introduced. So you got 430 and 745 bills were introduced in the last 2 years. ACLU has tracked legislation which takes many forms, bills that are attempt to limit the ability of and to update gender information on IDs and records, such as birth certificates and driver licenses. If you're non-binary, what shows up on your driver's license? I don't get it. What are you putting that little gender thing? Male, female? I don't know. N. I don't exist, so you can't give me a ticket. I don't know. Bills that restrict how and when LGBTQXYZ people can be themselves. I have trouble with the English language, because if you can't be yourself, you don't exist. That's a simple equation. Bills that target access to medically necessary health care for transgender people. Ban affirming care for trans youth. Create criminal penalties for providing this care. And bills that block funding to medical centers that offer gender-affirming care or block insurance coverage of health care for transgender people. Whew, that's a mouthful. Public accommodations bill seeks to prohibit transgender people from using facilities like public bathrooms and locker rooms. And story after story, we've done last couple shows where somebody made a comment on one of the other shows, conservative shows, that said women are being impregnated in prison because some transgender dude is claiming he's a she and it or whatever, but dumps a load of sperm in a female affirmed prisoner, and now we have a baby. And, the last story just said you don't even have to do that. So why, who, what, why, where, when does this non-affirmed, non-gender person need to offload a load of sperm? I don't get it. What was it in the Navy, the old Schwanstown cake mix? Maybe that should become the dinner item of choice in prison. Excuse me. Dane County values its transgender and non-binary residents and vigorously opposes measures that would allow legal violence toward trans people in accessing gender-affirming care or expression. I got to say, you got a whole month. I don't get a month, Dad. I get a day. I get 1 day, which, if I can find it, I don't even know where it is. Hang on. Ooh, which one is it? That's the nurses. Okay, these are not. Where is this one? Cam, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I had a great video clip by a vet who talked about, I just didn't find it. I'll put it on next week. Anyway, I'm kind of done with this. I believe in the right of self-expression, but this becomes obscenely overboard. A month of gay caballeros doing their thing in public. The nuns in the baseball world, I'm sure some of you have seen that story, and what the ramifications were when a Christian man who plays ball in a professional environment has an objection to bringing that into a baseball game. And there's a little part of me that says, damn straight, play baseball. It's got nothing to do with being gay, queer, whatever the terminology is in this day and age. You can be whatever the hell you want to be, but don't come into my world and tell me that I have to love what it is you do. That's the right of free expression. That's me. That's most of my listeners. They don't care to put up with it. Shove it down your throats. Go. The old saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in your bedroom's your business. Got nothing to do with me. I don't need to have cameras in your bedroom that you need to make me see that you're this, that, or that. Not happening. And then, which leads to these two stories, and we'll be right on those when we come back. Just a minute. Welcome back to the Dose of Reality Network, TV Radio Network, and the Just Jim Show, coming to you live from the bunker on Lake Wish I Be Gone. Because with all this stuff, maybe Lake Wobegon is where I should be, not at Lake Wish I Be Gone. And with that said, if you got anything you want to say, if there's a video glitch going on, I'm having trouble with one of my video servers. I'll have to investigate that. My apologies between my coughing and my bad video. If that's, well, that's life. But in the scheme of what we just talked about, this affirming stuff, comes a story, or two, actually two at the moment. And these are not necessarily in the state of Wisconsin, but it happened in Wisconsin, too. I just missed the story somewhere. It's around here somewhere. I got so many stories laying around. This is the Department of Justice. Who is it? Robert Hunter Biden. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit, too. Hang on. Let me see if this other story... No, that's a sweetheart deal. Yeah. We'll talk to that later. Anyway, this is a pedophile. With no definitive direction in what it is you think you are, and women in prison getting impregnated, this leads us to believe just in front of that being sent to prison, we got a pedophile who eats a poisoned Snickers bar in court as jury finds him guilty of child sex crimes involving. Right there in the AP, there it is. This is out of Australia. An Australian man scarfed down a poisoned Snicker bar in a courtroom at the same time as the guilty verdicts for child sex crimes were being read. A man was convicted on 4 serious, quote-unquote, child sex crimes that involved the daughter of his partner. Ooh, isn't that the way it goes? It's always somebody close to home. The man, said to be in his mid-70s, was not named because it would allow the underage victim to be identified. The Canberra Times reported, quote, in an opening address, prosecutor Fiona Martin said it was alleged the offending took place between 91 and 2000, while the girl was between 4 and 14 years old. Non-definitive, I believe, because of protection of the child. The man from Australia's city of Portland was in Warrnambool County Court in the state of Victoria on Friday. During the trial, the convicted pedophile took out a Snickers chocolate bar from his pocket. I got gnats, mosquitoes. At Lake Wish I Be Gone. They got skeeters all over here. Them and wood ticks. Warrnambool Standard crime reporter noticed the man, I don't know if it's human or not. The man began eating the Snicker bar candy. Thomas said the bailiff told the man that eating is prohibited in court. However, the man continued to eat the chocolate bar. Wonder why. He then told custody staff he has poisoned himself and he had laced the chocolate bar with rat poison. Appropriately so, I'm thinking. The man remained in custody despite his declaration and later collapsed in the police department, breaking a finger. Hopefully not that one. The man was transported to the hospital where he was treated for poisoning. He spent time recovering in the hospital's intensive care and needed medication. We all know, as a convicted child sex molester, he needs medication. Maybe they gave him the wrong stuff. I don't know. The convicted pedophile is scheduled to return to court when he will face a preliminary sentence hearing. Last August, a Texas man convicted of child sex abuse drank a mystery liquid. He drank a mystery liquid that ended up being poison. As these verdicts were being read, he chugged a bottle of water that he had on the council table. And I got to sneeze. Anyway, and let's see what happened to him. The convicted pedophile was pronounced dead at the hospital from consuming poison. Oh, be still my beating heart. We didn't get to put him up for 25 years. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office has determined that consuming a deadly amount of sodium nitrate was the cause of the man's death. Well, and I make light of it to a certain degree, not any way, shape, or form lightening the offense. But here we go. This is where we've degraded ourselves to. The next story coming out of the Blaze has to do with animals. Quote unquote, I do it to blow off steam. Award-winning Penn State professor accused of molesting dog. And I went and did a little research. This is Penn State's University Global Ranking in the world. They are 24. This is a chemical engineer, a professor of chemical engineering. They are ranked 24th in the world in chemical engineering. They're tied for the 24th. Following the investigation into an apparent molestation of a dog and other deviant acts caught by a trail cam in Rothrock State Forest, Themis Matsoukas, 64, a professor of chemical engineering, faces various charges, including open lewdness, indecent exposure, sexual intercourse with an animal, animal cruelty, reported by WTAJ. The trail camera was set up to monitor people stealing bags of hand sanitizer from the state park restroom in the Allen Seeger parking area. Reportedly filmed a man in a state of undress, masturbating, molesting a collie, and performing other lewd acts while trying to record the degenerate performance of an electronic device. I have trouble reading this stuff, but here's a professor, just like teachers molesting students, and the likes. People don't know who they are, what they are, so they go off in la-la land and do this kind of stuff. This guy's old enough to know better and intelligent enough, supposedly, to know better, but he doesn't because he did it. He got caught at it. And which brings to mind a recent school board meeting that was recorded where a teacher stands and tells the PTA and the school board, because I have a master's degree and you hired me to teach your children, you don't have the right to tell me what to teach. Had to do with an awoke subject matter that this person with a master's degree was teaching children. I recently, in the middle, was it Juneteenth Day? There was something on WPS or PBS where a professor, and this was in 2015, sat and was giving a speech on wokeness, acceptance, XYZ, right? And kept saying, right? About every fifth word was right. Well, if that's what your master's degree brings you, perhaps you don't have the basic communicative ability to say anything other than spew a sentence. I'll say, right? Forced recognition does not mean teaching, right? Park rangers reportedly identified the professor on the basis of his North Face backpack, presented in the video where he was allegedly otherwise naked but for his socks and shoes. What a wuss. I'm sorry, I have to make fun of it because it's the DCNR indicated the area where the alleged attack took place is within a viewing distance of Stone Creek Road, frequently transited, can't even talk today, by visitors on their way to nearby picnic area, campgrounds, and Penn Roosevelt State Park. Investigators began looking into the incident in April, but were confronted by more evidence in May when he allegedly returned to perform more foul deeds. Yeah. And he then said to the Rangers, quote unquote, "I'm done. I'm dead. You don't understand. I do it to blow off steam. I do it to blow off steam. That's why I molest dogs. That's why I molest kids. I do it to blow off steam because I'm a high and mighty professor." At one point during the search, the professor allegedly told investigators shoot him, saying, "I need to die." Obviously, he needs treatment. He needs. The university noted in a statement that he's been relieved of his responsibility and is on leave. Innocent until proven guilty. I'll bet I get that. That is part of the republic in which we live, and I agree that he should be on leave, suspended pay if he's found not guilty, reinstate him, give him his pay. I can't say enough about how low this kind of stuff is, but it goes on and on and on simply because of things like this. And I got this as an email thing. It is the U.S. Department of Justice. I don't know if you can see the header there. Probably not. U.S. Department of Justice. By email, Mr. Keith Kincaid, U.S. District Clerk's Office, U.S. District Court, 844 King Street, Wilmington, Delaware. Dear Mr. Kincaid, regarding Robert Hunter Biden. You knew I had to talk about this. But I'm going to tell you that with all this nondescript, unbelieving, no backbone population, this is the end result. This stuff. This is the official letter from the Justice Department. Enclosed, please find two informations to be docketed in criminal matters involving the above referenced defendant. The first information charges the defendant with tax offenses, namely 2 counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax in violation of 26 U.S. Code 7203. The defendant has agreed to plead guilty to both counts of the tax information. The second information charges the defendant with a firearm offense, namely 1 count of possession of a firearm by a person who is an unlawful user of or addicted to a controlled substance. Excuse me. In violation of 18 U.S. Code 922G3 924A2 2018. The defendant has agreed to enter a pretrial diversion agreement. Let's just put this aside. With respect to the firearm information, the defendant is represented by Christopher J. Clark. They don't have attorney behind his name or in front of his name, but you want to know something? You, me, lie on a federal form when you acquire a firearm through a dealer, unless it has been purchased as a private transaction. It's a felony, and it says right on the forms that it is a felony if you willfully, knowingly lie. The parties jointly request that the court schedule a consolidated initial appearance on the firearm information, an initial appearance and change of plea hearing on the tax information charge. Change of plea. Original executed copies of the memorandum of plea agreement related to the tax information and the pretrial diversion agreement related to the firearm information will be submitted at or in advance of the hearing. June 20th, 2023. Leo Weiss, Derek Hines, Special Assistant U.S. Attorneys. Here are your U.S. prosecutors. And I will say only one thing. That had it been you or I in a social status not equal to what is what is sitting right here, they would have thrown and will throw the book at you. Federal prosecutors give Hunter Biden's sweetheart deal for tax gun crimes that will keep him out of jail. It took 5 years of investigating, but federal prosecutors will finally charge Hunter Biden with tax and gun crimes. But the first son was reportedly offered a deal that will keep him out of jail. Hunter has been under investigation for tax crimes related to his overseas business dealings for illegally possessing a firearm, having allegedly lied about his drug use when purchasing a handgun in 2018. The investigation dragged on for years. Weathered whistleblowers and outraged Americans who believe the Justice Department is giving Hunter preferential treatment. What do you think? Do you think that could be possibly true? The deal reached between U.S. Attorney David Weiss and Hunter's attorneys, which a judge still needs to approve. Now, there's a glimmer of hope that equal execution of the law may still happen. Where the judge still needs to approve will undoubtedly intensify concerns that Hunter received a sweetheart deal. It's not a sweetheart deal. It's a total elimination of a law. According to the Washington Post, Hunter has, quote, tentatively agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and failure to pay 2017 and 18. Hunter is accused of not paying taxes on a liability of about $1.2 million. Wait a minute. Again, $1.2 million. But instead of jail, prosecutors agreed to recommend Hunter receive only probation and pay the amount of taxes he originally owed. No penalty, just pay what you owe. Wait a minute. Do the rich get to pay their fair share, or only peons when it comes to penalties? I have no idea. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, Hunter will admit to illegally possessing a firearm, but he will not plead guilty to lying on a federal form. Now, Sniffin' Joe, I see if I still got him. I bet you I don't. He went away. I threw him out. Sniffin' Joe and Vito just turned around at a gun anti-gun meeting and swore. He talked to the president of Mexico and said, "Quit sending us guns." Well, yeah, but you sent it through Biden, or not Biden's, but Obama's Fast and Furious campaign. And he wants to eliminate all these guns. But he's going to get his kid out of jail, keep him from going to jail. He's all about that. He's proud of his son, all the things he's done. Under typical circumstances, possessing a firearm while using illegal drugs is a felony. Even that's a felony. But Hunter will technically not be prosecuted for the crime. Instead, he will be offered a diversion program and probation. I'll bet you 10-1 they won't put an ankle bracelet on him. When Hunter meets the conditions of the diversion, the crime will be removed from his record, but he will be banned from owning firearms, the New York Times reported. Offering diversion for the firearm-related charge is unusual by recent standards. Again, remember the ebb and flow of anti-this, anti-that. We're coming to take your AK-47s. Remember that statement when Beto was running. We're coming. Between October 22 and March 23, federal prosecutors filed 3,803 cases in which the unlawful possession of a firearm was the lead charge. Not tax evasion. But wait, we got 80,000 new tax IRS agents, don't we? And they're all armed. Importantly, 130 of those cases involved lying to obtain a firearm. In Delaware, specifically, one person was prosecuted between October 22nd and March 2023 for unlawful possession of a firearm in which a false statement was used to obtain the firearm. That person, of course, was not Hunter Biden. Despite the evidence of crimes, Hunter was not arrested and will not wear handcuffs. Oh, no. No cuffaroonies. According to the Times, Christopher Clark, Biden's lead attorney, met with Justice Department officials in several meetings over the last year and a half. Postponed it a year and a half. Out of sight, out of mind. America will forget the enter key ever existed. In those meetings, Clark presented them with evidence intended to convince them that any prosecution of this client would be weak. In a statement, Clark celebrated the deal and claimed it demonstrates that Hunter is taking accountability for his actions. You buy that one, folks? Do you really buy that one? I know Hunter believes it's important. Quote, I know Hunter believes it's important to take responsibility for those mistakes he made during a period of turmoil and addiction in his life. He looks forward to continuing his recovery and moving forward. He wants to go back to China and get on that board of directors again for the oil stuff so he can send the big one his fair share. Clark claimed the deal means the investigation is, quote unquote, resolved, done. But Weiss said in a statement, the investigation is ongoing. Now, your hope, my hope, anybody who's listening to this show has got to hope that the judge who imposes or declines the agreement maybe has a little backbone and can see how blatantly unfair, unequal. You know, you give all these gay caballeros a month to celebrate their uniqueness. And now I'm going to say, is it unique that 3,863 cases are not unique? And if the judge goes along with this ruling, you want to know how the appeals cases are going to show up for these 3,800 cases? If I'm an attorney, I'm going to make a bunch of money appealing these cases because we now have precedent that there should be a diversionary sentence. Doesn't matter what you do. It's just, now it just make, you said you're sorry. Didn't mean to do it. It was the drugs, which we're investigating a local story here. And both the judge, prosecuting district attorney, who has now been elected to be a judge, did this to a little child. Oh, you're going to like this story. No, you won't. But I hope it wakes you up to what is going on in your neighborhood. This is absolutely ludicrous because it has nothing to do with America as I know it, grew up in, probably not what you grew up in either. Fairness, when you play a game with no rules or rules that are only slanted to one of the players, you can never win the game. You need to get up, wake up your neighbors, get up off your couch potato. Oh, come on. That thing's just firing up. What the heck is this?
Call my lawyers.
And call your lawyer, because he'll get you off. And I already know the slimeball lawyers that got this guy, and I'm talking about the local story. I already know the slimeballs that do this. And absolutely, it is their flag waving, this is what we do. Yep, you ain't seen diddly squat yet. And with that, another one that won't play. This thing is all goofy today. Wow.
You don't know what it's like. I'm the one out there every day putting his ass on the line. And I'm not out of order. You're out of order. The whole freaking system is out of order. You want the truth? You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. Because when you reach over and put your hand into a pile of goo, that was your best friend's face. You'll know what to do. Forget it, Marge.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
Chinatown.
Be gone from my sight.
Yeah, that's what you want to say.
Oh, look at me. I'm making people happy.
Yes,
I'm the
we
magical
love
man
everybody.
from Happy Land in a gumdrop house on Lollipop Lane. Oh, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
Tongue in cheek, but Happy Land is where we live. This is America, I'm telling you. I'm going to close this show today. I'm only a little over an hour today, but that's where I'm feeling. So, with that, hey, remember, be good to each other, because when it's all over, it probably ain't going to end well, but be good to each other, because that's all that's left when we're said and done with this whole mess. And I enjoy it. Take care of yourself. God bless. We'll see you next week.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a defender. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to sacrifice everything, his fortune, his sacred honor, even his life, for liberty and something called inalienable rights that he cannot see but knows he cannot live without. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to ride a horse through sleepy towns in the dark of night, sounding the alarm, entreating neighbors to take up arms against an overwhelming force of wicked tyranny. So God made a patriot. God said, I need someone who, even after crushing defeats, rises up and stands tall. Someone who hears the clarion call that these are the times that try men's souls and does not shrink from the trial. Someone who will cross a frozen river in the dead of winter, when all logic and reason says turn back, abandon hope. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who knows of the rise and fall of great nations, who knows of human nature and the corrupting influence of power and the fragility of liberty. I need this man, along with his like-minded brethren, to write an enduring constitution. So God made a patriot. God said, I need a person, one person, who's willing to do whatever it takes, even write a book to confront injustice and spark a movement that would tear apart a people so that chains will rightfully be shattered and a blessed union eventually emerge. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who, with the love of family and for the love of country, will cross a vast ocean and storm a heavily fortified beach. And, if he survives, charge through 200 yards of bullets and blood across that merciless beach. And if he survives, scale the towering cliffs. And if he survives, begin the long march to free a continent. And if he survives, return home and, with the same resolute determination, rebuild a nation, and someday be called the greatest generation. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will, without thought of self, invest in schools and scouts and church and community, so that the proposition that all men are created equal remains a beacon to enlighten the world, and that such a beacon shall not perish from the earth. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will have the courage to not give up her seat on a bus and thus force a nation to confront its deepest divisions and heal the wounds and pursue the dream that inspires all hearts. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone strong enough to stand against any enemy, foreign or domestic, that would try to steal the freedom so dearly defended, the rights so righteously upheld, yet gentle enough to help a small child carry a star-spangled flag in a hometown parade. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who will speak the truth to his own leaders, that in order to preserve our great nation, we will not sacrifice the well-being of future generations for the sake of our own. Someone who will tirelessly toil day upon night, no matter the setback, no thought of surrender. someone who will prayerfully rise every morning to climb the wall as a defender, duly endowed with the honored gift of generations before, while offering a solemn promise to generations ahead. A defender who will ensure that the way of truth and the torch of liberty remain forever lit in this shining city on a hill. So God made a patriot.
Okay, folks, show's over. Nothing to see here. Show's... Oh, my God! A horrible plane crash! Hey, everybody, get a load of this flaming wreckage! Come on, crowd around. Crowd around. Don't be shy. Crowd around.